Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, Whom shall I send, and who will go for us? And I said, Here am I, send me. My greatest fear today is how to survive the remaining days of a Buhari presidency. I have lived through 6 years of his leadership, and in that 6 years there was 2 years of COVID. So I ask myself, who did I offend? The worst thing about the failure of his government is that we all know that our president is incapacitated by ill health. And we know that bogeymen around him are abusing presidential powers for personal gain. But we are all helpless. The country is at a precipice and you can be a casualty any day. Who do you hold responsible for this sordid drama playing out? We watch his interviews, sees obvious limitations and disconnect with reality, and we just forward the videos and make jokes. What next though? What next? When the history of Nigeria is written, who will be held responsible for the near collapse of the country when all her citizens knew that the president was incapacitated and nobody did anything about it? Let us forget Buhari for a second and examine our Bible reading. Isaiah 6 describes how the prophet Isaiah, through a vision from the Lord, begins his ministry for God. In the vision, the Lord asks, Whom shall I send and who will go for us? Isaiah's response was to volunteer for service. Here am I, send me. He launched out in faith. He boldly accepted the call to service even before he knew what the errand was going to be. King Uzziah had just died of leprosy after a 52-year reign of relative peace. The Lord had a message to deliver to the people of Judah, and thus indicates that he needs a messenger. Isaiah's declaration, Here am I, send me, marked the very beginning of his ministry. The priest was now a prophet, and the Lord's message for Judah eventually became the book of Isaiah. But before Isaiah could be commissioned for service, he had to confront his humanity and his feelings. He was unworthy. He says, Woe to me, I am ruined, for I am a man of unclean lips, and I live among a people of unclean lips, and my eyes have seen the King, the Lord Almighty. Then one of the seraphim flew to me, having in his hand a burning coal that he had taken with tongues from the altar. And he touched my mouth and said, Behold, this has touched your lips. Your guilt is taken away, and your sin atoned for. After the encounter with God, the priest was now a prophet, boldly declaring, Here I am, send me. But before he could make that bold declaration, he had to let God purge him of his sins. There was no way he could be used by God or declare God's word if he continued to be like those he was sent to warn about their ways. They had all missed the mark in this city and needed to embrace God once again. This is our situation in Nigeria today. We all know we have missed the mark. All have sinned, both the leaders and the followers. The leaders have no respect for those they lead or whatever they say, because they know that if given the opportunity, the followers will do the same or worse. They know that for every evil they had done, they had willing accomplices amongst the followers. Who shares the money? We did. Who collected their money? We did. Who looked the other way? We did. Who helped them hide the stolen money? We did. Who whitewashed them on social and mainstream media? We did. Who campaigned with and for them? We did. Who carried weapons for them? We did. Who snatched ballot boxes for them? We did. Who didn't vote? Look at yourself. Let's get this straight. There's no way the story of the spectacular failure of Nigeria will be told that they won't mention the culpability of the Nigerian people. We have always rejected credible leaders for those who will steal our common heritage. Gani Fawehimi contested for elections in Nigeria, but we mocked him. Nuhu Ribadu contested and we mocked him. Dele Momodu contested and again we mocked him. Kingsley Moghalu, Sowore and a host of others contested against Buhari 2 years ago, and we mocked them and elected a sick man who couldn't even make coherent statements during the debates back as president. Some will say, but I didn't vote for him. Well, you didn't do enough to make sure he didn't win. Some will also say they rigged the elections, and my answer is that you allowed them rig The elections. You didn't care enough. If you saw the outcome of an election as a direct threat to you, your family, and your way of life, you will mobilize every resource at your disposal to ensure that the right people emerge. A very close friend of mine, who I respect so much for his integrity and courage, shocked me recently when he said Tinubu is the only person who has the money needed for elections. I was shocked. I asked, what does money have to do with elections after what Nigerians have been through? And he laughed. I mean, he really laughed at me. He said, "Do baby, look at me. After the sacrifices I made for Nigeria and the risk I took to make Nigeria a better place, what is my lot today? Do you think Nigerians will ever vote for me? Never." The first question we ask anytime someone says he's contesting is, does he have money? Then we follow with, he's a joker. The closest people to you are the ones who even say this. This is why we are all culpable. Why do you need money to vote what's supposed to be your conscience? The proper thing is that citizens ought to contribute to send those they trust to office and not the other way around. They ought not to demand money from them for their votes. Aspirants have to buy cars, wrappers, fridges, generators, etc. for delegates before they get their support. And on top of this, they have to dole out money on election day. This has got to stop. What then do you expect from them when they get there? This practice must stop if we want a better country. We all need to purge ourselves before God, as He looks for people to send today. We can then boldly say, "Here I am, send me." If you don't do this, if you don't stand up to be used, you can't then complain that those who are there are not good. Don't say he's a bad pastor when you have not yielded yourself to be used by God. Don't say the police are bad when you have not gone to be recruited so you can change the force from inside. Don't say civil servants are evil servants when you have not gone in to be the difference. God is looking for men and women who will go on this journey. He's looking for men and women who will purge themselves and be a shining light in a dark and perverse generation. He's looking for councillors, House of Assembly members, House of Rep members, senators, governors, presidents, citizens who will say, "Here I am, send me." He's looking for people in all spheres of human endeavor who will stand as a beacon of hope at a time like this. Be bold, be courageous, run this race. Let me tell you something interesting. Isaiah embraced God before he was used by God. Do you want to make a difference in your society? Find God. Do you want to change your world? Hold God. Do you want a turnaround in your life? Walk with God. God who has sent you will surely deliver you. That's a promise. God bless you all.